Okay, so hello guys, welcome to the meetup, which is organized by Angular San Diego, and thanks San Diego for providing me the platform to to talk about this event management and state management using NgRx. Sorry. So this is muhammadawais. I'm a full stack software engineer working at Royal Cyber Head, Pakistan. We are working with multiple clients working throughout the world. And for today, for today's technical talk, there's a topic. So it's very cool. It's actually very helpful and handy for every applications we are working on currently right now, so it's actually very good thing. So yeah, for today actually I will be talking on supercharge your Angular applications using state management with NgRx. So state management is pretty very amazing topic, and it's been used in very applications, and like either they are on the React or Vue.js or Angular kind of stuff. So yeah, let's talk about it. Okay, so the first thing, after this event, after this technical talk, after this event, what will be our outcome? So what will be what we will learn? So after this event, we can do some we will be able to perform some data manipulations with state management using NgRx, as you see in the screenshot here on this slide. So it's like showing the all product listing and the add product form on the right side. So this is actually if you are looking to this screenshot, it's very pretty simple. So however, like if you can see on the behind the scenes, like how it's been connected to the store, and like how it's been managed using the state management. So it's very pretty amazing thing. So let's see ahead. Okay, so the first question about this technical talk, like everyone should have, like it's what is NgRx? Why we are actually learning it? So NgRx is reactive state management for Angular, inspired from Redux. So Redux is the very popular state management library for the React.js. So after that state management is super fast, and assume that if we are working on the applications, and like it will be taking load time. Assume that we are having with a bunch of 100 plus or 200 plus components or modules. It depends on the scope of the project. Assume that there are 200 or 300 components inside every bunch of few modules. So assume that I'm now navigating from one component to another, and another to another, so on and so forth. So going again and again inside the components, they also may have the API integrations and API calls as well. So for those kind of reducing the API calls and the faster loading of the application and manipulating the data from component to component, so that's actually pretty very handy if you are using state management in your applications. It doesn't mean like if you are using it on the Angular applications, or if you are using it on the React applications. So for the React we have Redux, and for the Angular we have an amazing library, which is NgRx, which is built over the Redux pattern, and with the help of performing operations of RxJS, reactive JavaScript. So yeah, this is all about NgRx. Now the thing comes up, like what is state management and why we are using in it. So if you can see, after using state management in our Angular application, so we are having the command to manipulate the data, or easy management of data communication between components. So if you can see, like we are having the centralized store. So the main purpose of state management is we already have an store. So that store is being called from NgRx. That store is all over the components, all over the component inside our modules of the Angular application. They are solely connected to that store. That means store is a single source of truth from where the data is coming and from where the data is going. So this is all about the thing which is about the NgRx store, and this is the state management. So state management is simply consists of the data that exists in every of the component. Assume that inside the component one I have a product listing, and I have assume that in the component 2 I have a form which is actually for sending and deleting or updating the data for that product. So both of the components are connected to the store. Either like the data which is coming to the component 1 on the product listing, so that is also coming from the store, and however in the component 2 where I can update the form and update the product, add the product, or delete the product kind of stuff. So that is also connected to that store. It means store is a single source of truth which is connected to throughout the component, and it's not regardless like let's suppose I have products data and I can't get that in the in other components. So using store we can get that. However, if we are not using state management in our application, so there is not very necessary to use that state management using NgRx or a bunch of other libraries we have. So but the benefit of using this state management is like you don't have to perform many manipulations, like if we are talking about the decorators or event binding concept. So in the Angular, if I want to send data from parent to child, or if I want to communicate between unrelated components, so I have to make a new service, and that service is being responsible to send the data from one component to another, and blah blah, these kind of concepts. So if we are using a state management, so we have a centralized kind of a store from where we can access all the application data, which is pretty cool and super fast. Okay. Let's talk about some real scenario, like what is a real scenario for that state management. So in the little screenshot on the right side, you can see like we have an application, and inside that application we have my catalog, my cart kind of component, and inside my catalog I have my application bar. My app bar is representing the app bar at the header we have in the web applications, PWAs, and all the mobile applications as well. And however, my catalog also consists of the list item. Assume that my application is having with the cart count. Cart count is like in my app bar. So assume that now I want to update that cart notifier by clicking off any of the list items. So how can I do that? If I'm not using state management, so we can do that with the broadcaster provided by RxJS by making a single service, and that's been responsible to continuously listening for that event. But for the other components where I am taking, like assume that I have a checkout page and I want to show the cart items there. So again, I have to call that service and to use that interactions and all by getting data and sending the data, all kind of stuff. So now if we are using the state management, so that's actually very pretty simple. So all the data should be connected with a single store. However, my list item, when we click on my list item, any of the items, so from the catalog page, so that should be dispatching an event, and that event is actually been going to the reducer, and reducer is binding that action with the store. So that's actually been updating our my application count of that cart. So in this scenario, like this is actually real scenarios for state management. This is very pretty simple. However, we can get the data from API services, from the backend API calls as well, and kind of other stuff. Like state management is very huge concept to do that. Okay. After that, let's talk about some state management lifecycle, like how NgRx work. What are the things that actually comes up in the front end that forms NgRx? So that's the most important thing. There is like every library and every framework. Like let's suppose if I'm assuming Angular, if I'm taking React. So like if I'm assuming Angular, so Angular has also their own lifecycle. So every library had its own lifecycle method. The things that forms up that library. So if we are talking about NgRx, so we are having with the store, reducer, action, component, selectors, and some services and some effects. So the main important things comes up with this state management. So there are actually three kind of stuff. There are three things. One is store, second one is reducer, and third one is action. So store I already talked about. So store is a centralized single source of truth from where the data is coming to the components, and actions are the things. Let's talk about actions and reducer a little bit. Okay, so actions are things like assume that I have a component, and as we previously discussed in a simple image of that list item in the cart scenario. So assume that I have a list item, and on the list item click, I want to add that item into the cart and update the cart count. Now assume that action should be that action should be performed or binded on that list item click. So whatever it should, like let's suppose I'm clicking on the list item, so it's dispatching an event. So like it's saying to the reducer, it's passed over the reducer. Okay, that action is about what? That action is about adding that item to the cart. So that the definition of that adding the item to the cart and making the new state from the old state. So that's actually been the work of reducer. Reducer is nothing but it's actually binding the tie of that action and the store together to form a new state. And that's all state, like as you already know, like state is living in that store, and store is centralized. So however, like if you can see, like component is interacted with action right over. So we can perform any we can bind any of the thing with that action. So that action is going to the reducer, and reducer is performing and updating the store with the newer state. However, what are the effects? Effects are being used for exchanging the things for the third party transitions and all kind of stuff, like assuming, like if effects are very useful for collaborating with the backend kind of stuff, like backend API integrations and all, which actually require the transitions. So you can also see effects are directly connected with the service here. Okay, so this was all about the state management of NgRx. There is a cool documentation of NgRx as well. You can visit ngrx.io. It's been performed very well. It's been documented, so you can see there are all kind of concepts. And okay, so now let's see NgRx in action, like how it will be working. Like I was collaborating, I was sharing the knowledge in the slides. So like it's good to have see some code base, like how it's been showing and manipulating the data in the code base. So let's see the further. Okay. How can I move that? Give me a second. Okay, let's talk about now the NgRx in the action. So the first thing we should have to do is to make a directory folder structure in a good way. Don't confuse about this NgRx directory, which is for simple reducer stuff to maintain the simple kind of states. So however, I made an store directory here, so you can see that store. Inside that store, we are having the actions and models and the reducers. So the models are actually being used. So I will be collaborating the things accordingly. So these are the three directory structures. So we can make a store directory. Inside that, I should have to make the actions, models, and reducers. So let's talk about some scenario for that screenshot I showed at the first slide. So that's about on the left side. On the left side, we have a listing of products, and on the right side, we are adding the product to that listing, and both of them are connected to the single store. So let's talk about this scenario with this code base. So first of all, I have to do what? I have to, inside that model directory, I have created a model. I've created a model which is product model right here. Okay, so inside that product model, what it says, it's actually an interface. We are exporting an interface of product item, and inside that product item, I'm defining the keys, like, okay, my product item should be consist of ID, name, and price. Okay, so this is pretty simple interface for the product item I'm actually making. What is in the second file, and in the second thing we have to do is we should have to make a state model.ts. So inside that models, like this state model is what? This state model is nothing but it's a centralized state for all of the things we are using on. Assume that we are having the products, we are having with the catalogs, we are having with the checkout, and all kind of states. They should be lie in this single file, state.model.ts. So you can see after making this product.model.ts, I'm making this inside this state model. So it's been calling from reducer. So yeah, I can show you ahead. So after that model, don't confuse with this state model.ts. So I will be collaborating the things accordingly at the end. So the first thing we have to do is to make an interface for that product item. It's only for manipulating the data, and why we are using interface inside the main concept of interface is like, let's suppose my data is coming with 150 plus objects from the backend, and I only want three properties in my object. So I can use that with the I can bind this product item interface with that observable to only get these three keys from the 150 plus or blah 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 count of the object. So yeah. Okay, the second thing we have to do is we have to define an action. So like at the first we have defined the model, product model, and on the second end we have to define the product action. So the action is nothing. Action is coming from NgRx store. NgRx had exposed the store, and we are using action from that store. Like that action will be that action will be defined from from a component. So this is all about, and there you can see on the second line I have imported that model which I've created at the first end. So after that I have to export an product action type, which is inside the type I'm for now I'm only using adding the item, but in the future I will be adding, deleting the item, updating the item, so all kind of stuff. So for this product action type, they are only they are only a type, or they are only having the okay, so what this action should perform. So this is only written in the product action type. After that I am exporting a class which is add item action. So that action type is used in that, and what it should have to be performed, that's actually being dispatched from this action, and it will be going to the reducer. So here we are only having to we only have to add those action types what we want to do, and inside that class we are making a read-only type for that product action type dot add item above we have created just. After this constructor, inside that constructor I am actually adding an optional payload, and after that I am exporting that type. So what it should do, it's nothing but only action type and action declaration for them. So like the main work is to do with the reducer. So the first thing is to create a model, the second thing is to create an action, and the third thing is to create a reducer. So here is a reducer. Okay, so both of the things, the model and the action, should be imported here in the reducer on the second and the third line of this product.reducer.ts. You can see that. So this is the model, and this is the action, and this is the action type. Okay. And for the state, like for the initial state and kind of stuff, so we are actually making a product interface. Inside that product interface, I'm telling my product object like, okay, that you should have to hold an array which is with the interface of product item. So I'm only telling this, like I don't have to I don't have to store all of the 150 plus object which is coming from backend onward. I don't have to concern about that, but you only have to store these three objects in this. So this is all about it. And this is a code snippet on starting from line number 11. So this is initial state. I'm making an initial state for to store some product data for now on the initial state. Like let's suppose if I'm talking about the toggling event or all kind of stuff, so firstly it should have to be false, or firstly it should have to be showing some of the product. So for that I'm creating an initial state here, and the main work of reducer is, you can see on line number 22, I'm exporting a function for product reducer here, and inside that product reducer I'm passing an state and action. So state management is all about, like, firstly what store is doing. When you ever perform an action, you should have to pass an state, updated state, and the action you have performed, and then after store and then after you form a new then after you have formed a new state, and then state should be stored into that store, centralized store. So this is what about we are doing here. On line number 23 and 24 we are passing state and action. That action is, you already know that we have created a product action file as well. So these two things are we are passing in the post reducer, and after that state we are having with some switch and case statements. Assume that it says like, okay, if we are action dot type, if we have action on action dot type, so it will that will be performing and switching with those stuff. So it will be, now the first case is if the product action type is like for the adding item. So let's suppose the action is performed from the component on the list item. So it's been checking this case. Okay, so the action will be performing. That action is what, that if that action is if that action is for the adding an item, so this code, this snippet will be running, and you can see it's returning the new state in the form of the old state and the new state with the action payload. So this is all about the reducer work case. So now we have created our model, we have created our action, and we have created our reducer. Now we can see that how we can see that how we can use in this in our components to live that. So let me okay inside our component I'm calling what, I'm calling the product model, state, and the item action, the three of the things I have created. So after creating those, I'm importing that in the I'm importing those in the component where I want to get the product data into add the data in the store. So here I can do that. I have also created a store in the form builder. That form builder is nothing, it's for the just only for the form to store the newer data inside my store. So this is all about for this we are having with the store effect. So inside those effects I am calling the store.select, which is for getting the products from my store. And for adding the product, you can see on line number 43, which is the add product method that is being binded on the add product button here. So that is responsible for dispatching an action, okay, I have now filled up my form, now you have to add this data to my store for the products thing. So this is all about so there are actually three things. Firstly, I have to create a model. On the second end, I have to create an action, and on the third end, I have to create a product.reducer, and that's it. And you are now able to plug and play with those. Okay, now let's take a look on this live application we have just going through. So as the first initial state which I was talking about in the reducer, so that's been showing on the first end, the initial state is this. So this product data, all products, is coming from also a store, and the data which I am submitting from this form, this is also going to that same store. Okay, so let's talk about some let's add some book name, okay, Angular with TypeScript 3rd edition. Assume that there is a book name, and the price of that book is 400 USDs. And if I'm adding a product, so the whole life cycle, imagine the whole life cycle, when I'm clicking on that add product button, so that will be doing what? Firstly, it will be dispatching an action, and that action is written in our action.ts file. Okay, and the second thing is it will be providing it will be making this action will be going to the reducer, and reducer is doing what? Reducer is making a new state from the old state and the action which is typed, when it will be performed after the add product. And the third thing, that whole new state is stored in our new store, and this is all. And the thing why it's been affected in all product listing, because all products is listening to that subscribers live. So whenever any change performed to those that is stored, so it will be data will be coming here on the left side. So now let's click on add product. So you can see it's been added to our list. Assume that I am using only Angular TypeScript, and that book is for $200. So if you can click add product, so that is actually been added to that store. Now assume that I'm clearing that form and I want to add the product. So this is kind of reactive form validation. This is some other concept from Angular. So you can see that as well. So this is all about the live application as well. So I've also created a GitHub repository for that. You can see that, and I've also added this link on the slide, and I will share this link of that GitHub in the chat as well, for the meeting chat as well. So you can see throughout the snippet as well, and it's already implemented with lazy loading and the reactive forms as well. You can take a look. It's pretty good. Okay, so this is all about. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us in this event. So I have also shared this slides URL and the GitHub URL here, so you can take a look from here. I will also pass this info in the chat. So yeah, thank you.